I'm going to take a shot on this one.
I'm going to say beer.
I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh my god.
Jeff Gorton's tenure was more about luck than brilliance. And you know what? I'm going to start with this one. Beer. It's unfortunate that it's beer. I would love to say shot. I'd love to say that Jeff Gorton did a great job. But his last two draft picks, first round draft picks, you didn't have to even think. You knew they were going right in as soon as it happened. There was no doubt. I forget who was. Oh, Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach was basically the only decision for the Rangers, but you're still going to go Kaapo Kakko. Let's say Lafreniere wasn't the clear-cut number one overall pick. They didn't get any luck in the 2018 draft when Kravtsov was drafted, and I went over that in the last segment. There were decisions that had to be made, and also he stepped into Alexander Georgiev too. So there were players that made strides under him, but I'm not going to say that it was total luck, because the Rangers would have ended up with guys like Marco Rossi and maybe Bowen Byram or Jamie Drysdale, somebody lower that they would have gotten. So I mean, that wouldn't have been all that bad anyway. Although, by the way, is the pick in Anaheim? I'm not sure. They need to have every season ticket holder say that last year. So, John, I'll go to you.
I don't want to discredit him. I really don't, because there are some good things that he did. I mean, we talked about them before. The Nash trade was a stroke of brilliance. It really was. But if you look up and down at everything, and you look at the entire body of work, I'm going to have to say buy around. It just, to me, it like, if I'm being as impartial as I can be, I gotta buy everybody around on this one, because more moves than not were kind of things that just fell into his lap. Panarin fell into his lap. Fox fell into his lap. Trouba wanted to be here. The Mika Zibabanejad trade was an absolute heist. But yeah, Pierre Dorian, and I'm going to say this as nicely as I can, was a dumbass for that trade. Was an absolute dumbass for that trade.
Even though Brassard ended up being a key contributor to beat the Rangers the next year. But in the long run, Mika Zibanejad's a great...
Listen, I get that Mika Zibanejad probably never would have figured it out in Ottawa. JT Miller himself said he never would have figured it out in New York, and he never would have figured it out in Tampa. He needed to get traded that third time. Sometimes guys need that change of scenery to figure things out on how to get to that next level. And that's what Mika Zibanejad did in New York. Like, they told him, you have to be better in the offseason. You have to work on your diet and your offseason conditioning to get better. And he did. And that's part of why he got to that next level. But overall, the body of work is more luck than it is. And listen, I liked Gorton. I liked what he did. But a lot of the key moves are luck-based. Like you said before, Kakko and Lafreniere were absolute obvious picks. Where was the discussion about what other player was being taken? They weren't going to take Kirby Dach, even though I think Kirby Dach might end up being a better player than Kakko, at least offensively. But they were never going to take Kirby Dach. Never.
And that the Rangers needed a center.
Yeah, and they needed a center. And that's another thing. Braden Schneider over Hendrix Lapierre. Like, listen, I like what we're seeing so far from Braden Schneider. He's added an element to his game offensively without sacrificing anything defensively. And he's becoming a real good prospect. I mean, he might be moved, but that's another story. But you had to take Hendrix Lapierre then. You really did, because the center, they needed a center there. And that was the time where you take a risk with a second pick in the first round of a draft. When you have multiple picks, you can take that risk. That's why they took the risk on Kravtsov, because they had 3 picks in that first. I don't get why they took the risk on Elias Anderson, but again, panic. We're not going to go over that again because that's a dead horse beaten right there. But again, more luck than I see than brilliance. So I'm gonna have to buy around.
Anthony,
I was gonna go beer, but then hearing John say he was gonna go round made changed it around, and I said that because all right, he won the lottery twice. He moved up to second to get Kakko, and then he won the lottery to select Lafreniere. Let's face it, that's luck when you win the lottery right there. So that's 2 times, 2 core players that he just fell into right there to have the opportunity to select. And then Panarin, everyone and their mother knew he wanted to play for New York, so kind of fell to the Rangers there. Kaapo, Adam Fox wanted to play for the Rangers, so that was easy for him to do. So if you look at a lot of the core pieces on this team, Filk could have been the general manager and made those moves. I mean, so
pay me. I'll take substantially less than what Drury's making. Just give me like $100,000 a year and we're good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that alone, look at Panarin, Fox, Lafreniere, Kakko. That's 4 core long-term future players, all because all you had to do was press the Staples easy button and it was going to happen. So, yeah, so it's round for me.
you know what? One thing I forgot to mention in the last segment, and I forgot to mention right here. We can argue all we want. The mishandling of Tony DeAngelo is a bad thing completely, because no matter what, DeAngelo was an asset, and they wrote him off. It's just, that's it. Now, even if they picked up his salary, like I said before, pick up his salary and the amount that they're paying in penalty, they got in cap penalties and buyouts. It's like, just trade him, find somebody else. Maybe they could have gotten Sam Bennett, who's playing really well, and we're going to get to him in a second. And you know what? I hate to throw this out there again, guys, but the Rangers have a roster crunch coming. And Anthony, we're going to go with you first. We'll conclude with me, because I keep doing the Homer Simpson, the end is near, every single time that happens. But Anthony, go ahead.
So, if you're talking roster crunches, as in the sense of cap space, I would say yeah, definitely. If you're saying roster crunch because you have a lot of young players coming up competing for spots, that too. But more so for me, it has more to do with the cap, just because you have so many young players like Shesterkin, Fox, Buchnevich, if they keep choosing long term, Kakko, that they're going to have to sign. You have a lot of dead cap space coming off, which will help. But when you're talking, elite players or soon to be elite players on a consistent basis, and Fox and Shesterkin, they're going to take up a lot of money, and then Zibabanejad too, who, he's going to probably want $7 million plus. That's going to be hard for the Rangers. So I'll go beer, but I think otherwise they can manage making space for guys like Lundqvist coming up the pipeline. I think that's kind of relatively easy to do, to make space for young players. You trade some guys for picks, or you waive a couple of people and make room for the younger guys. But for me, it's more so the cap wise for me. But and if it weren't for Kreider and Trouba, I would say that they would be in really good shape. But it's going to be difficult for Drury to manage. But I think he's a smart guy. He'll do it. We've seen the Penguins somehow get around it for years. Same with the Blackhawks. So good teams and good general managers find ways around it. But yeah, I mean, there's no mincing words about it. They do have some tinkering to do with the cap. So I'll go beer.
It's manageable. So I'm going to say beer, but I want to lean towards shot here. There's also going to be trades, and I have a feeling that you're going to see Jack Eichel. I've called it. I'm still sticking with it. I think you're going to see Jack Eichel. And I think Ryan Strome and or Pavel Buchnevich could be in that deal. So you're going to move salary out in that deal to make that deal happen. Buffalo is going to get an NHL level talent, or top, at least I would say a top 6 level talent in return in that deal. Then, I mean, I know people are talking about Adam Fox. I've seen some people online thinking that he's getting somewhere between $8 to $10 million. Listen, he's played 2 seasons in the NHL, And this is a shortened season. And yes, he's a Norris finalist, but I'm going to say between $6 and $7 million on an 8-year deal. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's anywhere between 41. I would say 48 to about 51 million over 8 years for Adam Fox. So I could see 6.5, maybe 7 at the most if they decide that they want to get him locked up. But I don't even think he'll get a Thomas Chabot type deal where it was the 8 years, 56 million, where he got, or the 8 years, 64 million that Chabot got, I believe it was. So, I mean, Igor Shesterkin's probably going to get about 5, I would say, after this season. So he'll be locked up. But I mean, guys like Lafreniere, Kakko, Kravtsov haven't really produced to the point where they're going to put the Rangers in a bind this soon. So it's going to be a couple more years, and then by the time that those guys are ready, Trouba and Kreider, their no movement clauses are going to be gone, and they'll probably be gone themselves at that point. Will the Rangers have to give up something to get rid of them? Possibly at that point, but I really don't think this is much of a bind, cap-wise or roster crunch-wise. The only thing that would really concern me is the fact that someone like Kreider, who I wanted to say this before, he's not a player that's really overly skilled or smart. And a lot of his game comes from his physical features, like his speed, his physical strength, and so on. That's a large portion of his game. And that is not going to age well. So you need to be a smarter player that can score in other types of ways once those tools start going. He doesn't have great hands either. He has a really good shot, but he does not have great hands. So it might be harder to move someone like him, but thankfully it's only 6.5 and not worse. But no, I'm gonna say shot here. They not really a crunch. It'll be figured out.
I'm still gonna buy everybody around on this, and it's not so much of the salary cap because I'm not as worried about the salary cap. They got money coming off the books. My worry is playing time for all these guys. If you re-sign Pavel Buchnevich, that's already Kreider on the top power play unit. Where are you going to put Buchnevich? Let's say Brian Strome goes right back there. Zibabanejad goes on the top power play unit. Panarin's on the top power play unit. And Adam Fox is on top power play unit. Where's Nils Lundqvist playing? Where's Alexis Lafreniere playing? Where's Kaapo Kakko playing? Where's Vitaly Kravtsov playing? It's just there are roles that are in there. And then let's go to the second unit. Because then, look at this year. You have Colin Blackwell over either Kakko or Lafreniere. Yeah. Filipito's right there. And it's just there's a lot that there's so many players that are going to be eligible to be playing spots. Let's just go with their defensive prospects. You got Tomo Reunanen, you have Matthew Robertson, Nils Lundqvist. Those are 3 guys that are in Braden Schneider. 4. There's 4 guys that are NHL that can play in the NHL next year. One of them that already did, and how many spots are open right now? Because Fox is taken, Trouba's taken, Lindgren's taken. Yeah. So it's right there. There's a couple of spots that are right there. You still got forward prospects that are coming up. Yes, trades are going to happen, but right now you have to start trying to figure out exactly where that crunch is coming from. So is it manageable? Yes, it's manageable. But it's going to make you make decisions. I'm not just sticking to this because I made this in my bold predictions video at the beginning of the year before I was lucky enough to have John join me. So it's been a while. And before I had Anthony to give me the disapproving look that he's giving me right now. All right, moving on, boys.
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.